Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us as we talk about West Brom 0, Manchester City 5. It's been a long old season doing these dearly departed videos. We talked about a lot of defeats for, particularly for Sheffield United. Not many wins for West Brom and Fulham either. And in recent times, particularly at home, some horrible defeats for West Brom under Sam Allardyce. And this, well, we can add it now. I think there's already been a 5, hasn't there? I think they've already had a 3, a 4 and a 5 at home in the last few games. But here we go again. And it's in form Manchester City that are going to do the damage. They have worked their way right up to the top of the Premier League, but this is just not what we've known from Sam Allardyce's teams over the years. Just an absolute soft touch, particularly at home. So strange when they're picking up good away results. Anyway, there's the shape for both sides and the lineups. Johnston in goal for West Brom. Furlong, Ajayi, O'Shea and Gibbs. Yeah, I mean, you now start to question where the Premier League quality is. No disrespect to any of the players. Obviously, Gibbs has played up at this level. But you're now looking at O'Shea, Ajayi and Furlong as 3 members of a back 4 who it's their first year at the top level. I believe I'm correct in saying that on all 3. Snodgrass, Livermore, Sawyers and Grant. So Grant apparently not deployed up top and down the left. So some attacking players on the pitch in Grant and Snodgrass, and then obviously Pereira and Robinson up top. But if you're folding 8, 9, 10 players behind the ball, you are then asking the likes of Snodgrass, Grant and Sawyers. I'd particularly identify those 3 as players who are probably better with the ball than sitting in for 80, 90 minutes without it. So, yes, some obvious issues cropping up here for West Brom. For Manchester City, the normal who's who. And even without their best player, no Kevin De Bruyne there. So Ederson in goal, Cancelo, Stones and Diaz, who are doing brilliantly at centre-half and not conceding any goals now. Zinchenko, Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Gundogan is smashing the goals in left and right, isn't he? Sterling, Mahrez and Foden, who's worked his way into a regular in that team. So it's all set up and here come the goals. There is the opener. So straightforward as well. You can see Gundogan, that's the ball flying into the corner in the D. It's a long ball forward to him. Great first touch. Finds the space and hits it in from, you can see the edge of the box. I think that one goes down into individual quality on Gundogan's part. And there's plenty else we can say about the other goals. So we'll move on from that and say a great bit of individual skill from a player in very good form. This one, however, is an utter mess. We'll start after the goal's actually been scored. This is VAR having a look at this. So you can see on the right-hand side, I think that's Bernardo Silva, who's making the run, whose armpit is being played onside by Darnell Furlong's right heel, way across the pitch. But it is what it is. Offside is currently a black and white law. I think that'll change in the next few years. I think an element of subjectivity will be added. I know a lot of people won't like that because, well, look, the black and white laws people hate because they're black and white, and the subjective ones people hate because they're subjective. So the lawmakers cannot win. In this instance, there is an error here from the assistant referee, who is Sean Massey Ellis, who flags for offside. Now, this is the first error here, in that I was of the understanding that now with offsides, you don't flag unless you're absolutely certain, and the game runs on. And we've seen plenty of examples of players where we've known they're miles offside and the game continues another 5 seconds and no flag sort of goes up. So that it's a mistake by Massey Ellis. She shouldn't have flagged, basically. But look, it's a tight call. The issue is not with getting the call wrong. It's that, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, the issue is that you don't flag, particularly on one that tight. So it should have been let go. Now, then what happens is the ball's worked its way inside, and you can see a lot of players not running in that picture. I think, is that Gundogan on the edge of the box has stopped. I think it's Carl and Grant who's kind of pointing. Massey Ellis has her flag up. Kavanagh, the referee, is looking across at Massey Ellis. The big one is Romain Sawyers, who you can see kind of moving towards Cancelo. He's clearly stopped, and he would have been the one that closed Cancelo down. The other issue is Sam Johnston as well, who's only half engaged. The shot is brilliant. He then bends it into the top corner and it goes bar and in. And then they go and check, realise it wasn't offside, and the goal stands. It's an absolute mess. Can we please, obviously I believe in freedom of speech, but can we please avoid any accusations that Man City have been favoured? Obviously we had the goal against Aston Villa the other day, and the loophole has been closed. They've dealt with that. This one, Manchester City have actually done exactly the right thing here. They've kept playing, waited till the whistle's gone, stuck the ball in the goal. So we don't need any, the FA are corrupt, the Premier League are corrupt. Don't need any of that nonsense. Let's make it more balanced than that. And I don't think there's a favouritism of Manchester City. I think let's just get that out of the way. That's silly. What I think has happened here is the assistant referee shouldn't have flagged. And when the whistle didn't go, the West Brom players shouldn't have stopped. Those are the two things. And I think it's been made clear to the players that with offside, they're told to wait for the whistle because VAR will check in an event the ball flies in the goal. It's a bit unfortunate that in pretty much consecutive games now, Manchester City have scored a weird goal like this. Fortunately, the game ends 5-0, but I guess it needs to be made very, very clear on the offsides. But I'm starting to think, I mean, some will argue it has been made clear, and that Massey Ellis has just made a mistake, which is fine. We all make mistakes. Move on. You've got to mitigate the mistake, though, if you're a West Brom player, by keeping going. I know Big Sam said afterwards, don't give me that nonsense. When you see a flag go up, you stop. That's not what they've been told, actually. So I know the natural instinct would be to stop, but you've got to have that manual override that says, oh, the whistle hasn't gone, keep going, get in the way, do whatever. And what I was going to say, though, is what's the point in having assistant referees? What do they do now? If we're just going to check all offsides anyway, do you know what I'm saying? What's the point here? Should we just stop assistant referees giving offside now? And we just essentially keep playing, and if the ball goes in the goal, we check it. I don't know. Is that what we're heading towards? Because if they're not going to flag, then that's what we've got. So are they only there to give fouls? Should we take their flags away? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. But I think my position is mistake to flag. She shouldn't have flagged. Mistake to stop as well. And let's not pile in on Manchester City or the referee, who I think have done the right thing here. It wasn't offside. And Manchester City haven't done anything wrong, is all I will say. They've taken advantage, again, of a strange situation surrounding the laws. And look, we all know what a brain Pep is. I wonder whether he said, look, people are not sure on VAR. This is what you need to do. Who knows? Who knows? If there's grey areas in the law, we all know that clever, determined and ruthless football people will exploit them. 2-0. It didn't change the game. We're all okay with that. It was, it wasn't a game-changing moment, was it? Let's just say. Here is number 3. Gundogan again, and Sawyers is just having a nightmare here. He tries to, I think, head it and then chest it, and he just gets it nicked off him. Sawyers, I'm a big fan of in the Championship. I loved the languid style at Brentford, in a progressive team. It worked with Bilic as well. He looks so chilled and cool on the ball. He's just the least Sam Allardyce player you can imagine, though, isn't he? And I just think it's his natural kind of gait in his run and the way he plays. But yeah, he gets caught out badly here. And he was the closest guy who stopped for the second goal as well. So a game he'll probably want to forget. Gundogan bangs in his second. And, dear oh me, if ever you wanted to see an example of a team scared for their lives, defending too deeply and too narrowly, and a more skillful team then with basically a straightforward pass and a dribble and a shot being able to exploit, this is it. Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players, including the keeper. So all but one of the entire West Brom team are back in the box. And this is not helpful at all because Sterling's clever. All he does is clips it over because they're all so narrow and condensed. Mahrez is clever as well. He knows if he shifts it and he gets any kind of decent contact, the keeper's not saving it because there's so many bodies in the way. Or we get a deflection and then it goes. And often we're discussing this on the channel, a little aside about deflected goals. This is often because of an overcautious bad setup, and one team has disproportionately too many players back, and the attacking team, who tends to be the sort of dominant team in those exchanges, have a shot. They'll probably deflect in this, and the keeper's not saving it. Sometimes it's less of a help than you can imagine to have that kind of horrible... A low block's one thing, but just shoving everybody back in the way just does not work. 4-0 before half-time. Here's number 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 West Brom players back in the box. Clipped over. And they just miss them all out. And they're so narrow that Mahrez can go a bit wide. Puts it all the way across the box. And of course, Sterling taps it home. 5-0. And head's gone. And they can't play at the Hawthorns, can they? Awful, awful time for West Brom at home at the moment. There are the numbers. 4 of the goals coming in the first half. Obviously, stoppage time, the 4th one, just insult to injury. 22% possession, 18 shots to 4, 7 to 1 on target, 8 corners to 3. One interesting stat, only 2 big chances to 1. So some good finishing by Manchester City, particularly Cancelo, and the 2 Gundogan goals. But it's not good for West Brom. You know what Allardyce wants to create, don't you? This kind of very, very hard team to play against. And he's doing it with Bilic's players. And okay, let's give a pass to, I don't know, Pereira and Robinson up top. Their job's to do something when they do get the chance. And okay, one big chance they didn't score, but, conceded 5 goals. Whoop-de-doo. But across the back there, Johnston's a good shot stopper, but I do think when they did have Ivanovic, they had a bit of Premier League experience. Obviously, got rid of Higazi as well, who had a bit of Premier League experience, a bit more physicality like Allardyce likes. And as much as I like Ajayi and Furlong, and O'Shea, who are all young players, O'Shea coming through with West Brom, I think, didn't he? And Ajayi in from Rotherham and Furlong in from QPR. I love the step up, but maybe 1 or 2 players in a back 4 or 5 in the Premier League, but 3 out of 4, I don't know whether they... This is for what Allardyce wants to do. Obviously, it would be a different story if they'd come up with a real set pattern of play and kept going through with these players. That often works, doesn't it? And that's how players make the step up. But this is not that. This is a change of manager midway through the season, isn't it? So they're now being asked to do something, and you just wonder whether this is going to work or be an absolute disaster. You know Allardyce will keep on the same philosophy of keep it tight, keep clean sheets. A draw's okay. We can get to 1 point per game, 38 points. He mentioned it in his post-match. Can the players do it? Maybe Livermore's suited to it, but again, Sawyer's in midfield. Snodgrass will be fine. Carlin Grant, is he a left-sided Premier League midfielder? No, I think he's a forward, isn't he? So, yeah, all a bit concerning for West Brom. Although West Brom fans don't need me to tell them that. Man City are on fire. Top of the table, 41 points from 19 games, only 2 defeats. You can see 5 straight wins there. I think there's a few more than that outside of that last 5 form table. So, well done to them. But they're not really our concern here on Dearly Departed. West Brom are. And West Brom are now over the halfway mark with only 11 points. So they're projecting a really, really low total that's potentially going to be significantly under 30 points if this continues in the second half of the season. I'm not saying it will, but the evidence of the first half, okay, some of that under Bilic, some of that under Allardyce, it's just not good. Really big game later today between Fulham and Brighton, and there is no good scenario for West Brom in this one other than a draw, is there? A Fulham win, and West Brom are kind of adrift, aren't they? 4 points back from Fulham. A Brighton win and everyone's adrift. That put the bottom 3 8 points adrift. Very, very big game tonight. I know that Scott Parker and Chris Wilder and Sam Allardyce will all say, don't worry about the others, it's about us putting our points on the board. But you start to worry whether if it was an 8 point gap then with most of the bottom 4 or 5 at 20 games, so 18 games to go essentially with an 8 point gap, it starts to look cut and dried, doesn't it, in terms of West Brom, Sheffield United and Fulham as a highly, highly likely bottom 3. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you as ever to Jay, who's our fan sponsor for the Dearly Departed shows. Dearly Departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us all of our stuff involving Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Leeds, Fulham and West Brom. I've had a go today at doing individual match reviews. So going forward, if that works better and it's more focused, we might continue it this way. We'll see how it works in terms of time constraints. So it's been fun doing this one. I've done Leeds and Newcastle as well today, so you can check that out on the channel. If you want to support like Jay has, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Most important thing you do though is get the debate going, get the comments going to try and make it reasoned and balanced and not crazy football nonsense that's all over YouTube in the comments. But please do get involved and obviously hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. And yeah, let me know what West Brom, if anything, can do to get out of this and to stop just being so abjectly bad at home. Thank you everybody for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.